Okay, so once again, I'm just going to talk you through some live marking for one of these answers on Romeo and Juliet for the Year 10 assessment. Once again, I've indicated the assessment objectives at the top here, AO1, AO2 and AO3. AO1 is ideas about the text and use of quotations, supporting those ideas with quotations. AO2 is using devices, the devices that the writer uses, the methods that the playwright, in this case Shakespeare, uses to convey the overall meanings and themes and ideas in the text. And AO3, context, so the life in the Elizabethan era, but also gold ideas, are gold big ideas about the text. The most complex ideas will often fall under the AO3 as well, because they're critical perspectives on the text, or they might relate to a particular reading of the text given the time that it was written, or it might relate to kind of big universal themes to do with, for instance, the human condition, or lover's pain, or something along those lines too. So Romeo and Juliet is a play about the journey of two lovers from opposing families whose harmless love for one another brings great grief and misfortune, which subsequently ends their ancient rivalry. Now, I love that. That is a really, really clear, succinct intro. So it shows straight away to the examiner, I know what the story is about. I can summarise it really well, really clearly. Straight away it sets the tone for a really strong essay. You're certainly not going to pick up loads of marks with your introduction, but it can be the first thing an examiner reads that makes them think, oh, clever, okay, good. Shakespeare shows that Romeo is a love-orientated character who presents many displays of his love in the play. So what I do like about this one is because it's about Romeo and love, this question, this person does indicate several times that that is the key word and makes it really clear that they know what that is. Even if this is a little bit vague, presents many displays of love in the play. That could just be a bit more specific than many displays. But generally it shows that we're focused on the question. And as I say, you're not going to get a huge number of marks from your introduction. Okay. Let's have a look at this first paragraph then. So firstly, in the extract, so straight away, I really like this. This student is signposting in and out of the extract. Firstly, in the extract, because remember the question will say, starting with this extract. So firstly, in this extract, Shakespeare uses a hyperbole, so there's my device, there's my AO2, to show how Romeo views love. Romeo describes love as a misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms. Good use of quotation there, definitely hyperbole, definitely relevantly supports the point that the student is making. This implies that love can appear to be something majestic and beautiful. Good interpretation of the quotation. However, it can also bring people immense pain. Especially for Romeo, as he keeps his feelings of love out in the open. Now, what I like about this part here is this student starts to then relate to some of the context of the Elizabethan era. You will be familiar with some of the ideas that we've learnt about to do with courtly love, arrangement of marriage, marriage to kind of improve station and status of families and to strengthen alliances and things like that. So Romeo's kind of romantic idealism of love is quite unusual and would be considered to be quite idealistic and immature by an audience. So here, this student says it was rare for people at that time who traditionally wouldn't even marry for love to be this open. So that is an AO3 point to do with the context. That's good. It also should suggest love's complexity and how each time Romeo displays his love, he ends up in a state of depression. So all of these yellow parts are just ideas about the text. Good ideas about the text, very clear. What I like about this as well, this suggests love's complexity. Now, this is quite a complex idea, but this is something called nominalization. Your teacher may have talked to you about this when you studied previous literature texts. But nominalization is where we use nouns instead of verbs. So we don't say this suggests that love is complex. We say this suggests love's complexity. And so we're using nouns instead of verbs. So we might say responsibility instead of responsible. We might say idealism instead of ideal. So it's these kind of words that make your essays appear more academic and actually turn those ideas from being just an analytical point into something more critical, and it becomes a critical perspective where you're talking about a theme. So here, this suggests love's complexity. That sounds really academic and really strong. I like this already. The adjective So that's your AO2, your device. Misshapen, there's my quotation, emphasises how the journey for love can be contorted and tangled, or not what it appears to be on the surface. Now this is really, really strong analysis. I would place this already looking kind of band 4-ish, band 5-ish, and therefore it's looking like it's about a grade 7 already. If this is then sustained and we start to add in more gold, it starts to inch into that 8 and maybe even higher. But at the moment we can already see that it's got clear complex devices. We can already see that it's got good use of quotation. We've got that nominalization, those academic points. They're thinking about the context as well, this student. This is really excellent. And all the way through, we're focused on the question, Romeo's displays and ideas of love. Okay. Now, once again, straight away, picking up those marks, being clear that it's elsewhere in the text. Similarly, elsewhere in the text, because the student has now selected this quotation from the gold list, Shakespeare uses a metaphor in order to depict Juliet as something angelic to Romeo. So that's your idea about the text. He says that Juliet is the sun, that's the metaphor, good use quotation. This highlights how Romeo idolizes Juliet, despite the fact they only met that night. The use of celestial imagery, absolutely right, look how peppered through all these devices are. The use of celestial imagery, so the use of sun, reference to things in space, also implies how he elevates Juliet to heavenly esteem. Now, that is one of our more gold ideas when we start to talk about the kind of religious significance of their love. So that is starting to move into some more of this gold. And links to the fatalism, so again, more of that AO3, of their soon-to-be demise to a place such as heaven. In addition, by describing Juliet with the noun sun, again, good devices, good micro quotation, judicious quotation. It shows how Romeo is comparing Juliet to an essential source of his life, which only further emphasises Romeo's hyperbolized displays of love in this speech. Okay, this is getting really, really strong now. I would say that we're moving from convincingly 7 towards an 8 as we start to include more and more of that gold. Okay, let's see if it continues with the same strength. In addition, in the extract, Shakespeare uses, and again, I love this, we're still saying in the extract, elsewhere in the text, Shakespeare uses many oxymorons to show the two sides of love. Romeo uses many phrases such as bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, brawling love, loving hate. Lots of really judicious quotations here, which you need for the top band, those small micro quotations, which implies how love is both pleasure and pain. The binary opposition of purity and corruption of love links to imagery of light and then dark to symbolize how seemingly beautiful things can hold evil within. Look at all of those devices, binary opposition, imagery of light. Once again, we've got more of these nominalizations, purity, corruption. Not saying it's pure, not saying it's corrupt, it's purity, an opposition of purity and corruption. The use of following something undesirable with something pleasant, such as sick health, further suggests the idea of the human condition, of letting love cause us suffering. And again, here is some more of that gold, as well as that binary opposition of purity and corruption. Finally, elsewhere in the text, Shakespeare uses foreshadowing to show how Friar Lawrence is reacting to Romeo's wishes to marry Juliet. The friar explains how these violent delights have violent ends. That's our quotation. And foreshadowing this time is a structural device. This suggests the friar is no stranger to Romeo's displays and knows only too well that his actions have not been thought through and may end badly. It also shows the great haste and the short-lived nature of their love due to the fragility and innocence of their lack of knowledge and understanding. The adjective, the student is really strong on devices, violent, highlights that the death of these two lovers, misspelling there, TWO, two lovers, and the road leading up to it is full of devastating and calamitous paths. They just don't know it yet. In conclusion, Shakespeare ultimately shows us how ill-fated this love story is. However, through a series of unfortunate events, a state of tranquility is effectively restored. Now, my only criticism of the conclusion is that we need to return to the keyword. Remember, this was an essay about Romeo and his displays of love. Therefore, we need to return to Romeo and his displays of love. But that is a really good summary of the story actually itself. But we need to return to the keyword just to focus on that. Remember, that's your steer all the way through your essay. So overall, I would be tempted to place this at a top 8, maybe even touching into a 9, because it is so consistent with the use of those devices. But there is some gold to make it an even more secure 9. It would need to have lots more of that gold planned in. But considering this has been done at home, this is a really, really excellent attempt and a really, really good example of what you would need to do in the real thing. If this was produced for a real exam answer in summer of year 11, that would be a really, really, really fantastic attempt and really accomplished student after this time. So that's really, really brilliant. But hopefully that's given you some insight into the things that an examiner here will be impressed by and the areas where they will be awarding marks and the things that you can do to improve yours in future. Okay, well done.